ಸಾಲ ಕಪ್ ನಮ್ದೆ.
ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು?
Mr. Gani, thank you so much for making this. It's been what? I've been chasing you for how many months now?
8 months, man.
Not 8 months.
No,
at least 6 months.
6 months.
Anyway, cheers. Thank you for coming.
Cheers, man.
Thank you for
Thank you for calling me, Dan. Thank you for being persistent, okay?
You'll not believe, you are one of the first guys that I thought I would definitely have on the podcast, which is why, though you've been quite busy and of course a lockdown has happened between now and then, I was quite keen that whenever you're free, you should, I'd love to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, man.
Because it's been what, 21 years?
21 years. Yes.
I know the last time, I think not the last time, we bumped into each other a couple of years ago.
Correct.
We've known each other not through the 21 years, but 21 years ago was when we first met.
And right? worked together. Yes, and had quite a few drinks together.
Yeah. No, but back then I wasn't such a heavy drink. I don't think we've had too many drinks.
Not too many, but quite a few.
Did we?
Yeah. Absolutely. Once in a while at least, man. Satyam Wines and
correct,
at office,
correct.
and when you stayed back late, and there used to be Grand Orient across the road.
Grand Orient, but no, but again, funnily enough, back in the day, that time that I knew you, I wasn't. Not that I ever was a heavy drinker, but that was the phase of my life when I just started drinking.
Right.
I took out of peer pressure to prove that I'm also one of the guys.
I'm with it.
Yeah. But I remember even then, back then I used to in fact find you irritating because... you were irritating because you were, even back then, quite articulate. You had a sense of humor. You were quite funny. And I wasn't any of those things, I was just this scruffy kid from the wrong side of the tracks. As the expression goes.
Wrong side of the Gulf. Did you come from the Gulf?
I did. Yeah.
Right.
No, I mean right side of the Gulf,
right
but
side.
the wrong side of the tracks, So, we were in advertising and you were a planner in Fountainhead.
I was in servicing first and then I moved to planning.
And then moved to planning, right? I just started out as a copywriter.
Correct.
And I didn't ask you earlier because I wanted to ask you on the podcast, what do you do now? Because I know you do a bunch of things.
Yeah, man.
Right?
Yeah.
So from advertising, I know back in the day, you moved to the client side. The last I knew of you, which is maybe 17, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
You moved to the client side.
Bang on, correct.
And of course, and then I met you 2 years ago. At what is that place?
No, when you met me 2 years ago, I was on the roadside.
On the roadside, correct. We met at the roadside at what?
Sri Chaitanya Upahar.
Chaitanya Upahar, right? Unknown but nice place.
Yeah,
good dosas and idlis and all of that. And I met you there, and you were on your own, doing your own thing.
Correct.
Which is what you're doing now.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, so I see myself as a catalyst for people's self-expression. All right.
That sounds deep. Sounds big and it sounds deep. A catalyst for people's self-expression.
Yeah. So I just figured out in the last few years, and it came to me gradually, piece by piece, all right, not an overnight realization, that look, all of us want to express ourselves in some way or the other.
True.
All of us, okay?
True.
And just like hunger and love and friendship, this is also universal, all right? It's a universal drive. We may want to do so in different ways at different points of time,
right?
But the need is universal, right? And I'm seeing that growing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I have been seeing that growing for the last.
Absolutely, I think things like Facebook, Insta, and Reels.
Yeah,
I think more than ever, Reels.
Yes.
I never thought. I used to wonder what the heck is this TikTok? What are these Reels?
Correct.
Who's gonna do it? Who's gonna say it? It's incredible.
Yeah, man, absolutely incredible.
Reels, and I don't really, I'm not saying it's the best form of expression or anything of that sort, but then again, it is given everyday people, sometimes people who are restricted, I'd say for the most part, people who come from lower economic backgrounds, people who are not the cool cats as we would like to define them, ordinary people from the most backward, underprivileged section of society.
Yes, that's one way of looking at it. The other way is personality-wise, even introverts.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Even introverts. Introverts are probably the
smallest. Yeah, because you have some sort of anonymity behind the screen.
Correct.
And as far as you're recording, you're just recording for yourself.
Correct.
There's not an audience. So
I see boys, small town boys from Madhya Pradesh, Orissa, Bengal, UP, putting up some random motivated stuff.
Yes.
They put up some really motivated stuff now. They've taken the time and the effort to make these these dub smash videos.
Correct. And the dance moves.
Oh, and they lip sync to these movie dialogues.
Totally.
And some of them I'm actually quite, even as a filmmaker, some of it I look at and say, these guys have talent.
Yeah.
Talent which otherwise would not have
been noticed at all. Or be tapped.
Being showcased. Forget being tapped. I don't know if most of them are gaining any commercial benefit from what they're doing apart from friends giving them a pat on the back or relatives laughing about it.
Correct.
Or the stuff getting 10,000 likes and I see some random unknown guys have videos that have got 10,000 likes
and so many followers
1,000 shares and they've got X number of followers and it's incredible.
Yes.
So you're right. I think this is the era of self-expression.
Correct, man. So when I saw that grow and I just told myself, whatever that shit is, whatever that they're doing, including the TikToks of the world and reels and stuff, it is their shit, man. Whatever it is, they're owning up to it, and it is coming straight from heart. It's part of their life and what they are.
I think it's made it less elitist.
It's just leveled the ground a lot.
Absolutely, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a Bollywood star's son.
Correct.
To have a video that all of India is going to see.
Yeah. Right? So it has removed all those access privileges.
Absolutely.
So I said, okay, then I need to feed this, and see, I have been quite expressive. Like you said,
you've always been an expressive guy.
I've been quite expressive.
Irritating as fuck initially because I was not, and I think I was envious of you. I was like, you had an air of
you were quite withdrawn that time, kind of.
More than withdrawn, I think I was finding my feet.
Finding your feet, correct.
I think I was a clueless 24.
No, which came across as withdrawn, I'm saying, possibly. I'm saying manifested as that. Yeah, but you were possibly testing the water.
And also, look, I was around guys like you who knew more than I did at that time. You know what I'm saying? As in, at least from a education, I was an uneducated guy, dude. Not that I'm educated today, but at least I sound like I'm educated, right? Over the years, I've perfected the art of sounding articulate, and sounding knowledgeable.
Educated.
Which what advertising does to you. Because either you sound like you know shit.
It gives you a sheen, huh?
It gives you some reputation, you got
some standing.
Some standing. It convinces people that you are of some caliber, whether that's true or not.
Right.
It gives people the impression.
You have some stuff.
Yeah, you have some stuff. And you got to work on that. So maybe, but back in the day, man, absolutely not. Yeah, you were always an articulate guy.
So I've just been my natural self also, and articulate not in a very contrived way. I realize that, and this is an honest assessment. So I said, look, I've benefited a lot from it, and it's a great space to be, just to articulate who you are in different ways. So I laugh a lot and naturally, and you know that.
Absolutely.
Right? Absolutely. So, and then making friends, and then listening, understanding what people have to say and do and think and all that, right? And then I became a writer, then we got into communication and branding and stuff.
What do you mean?
Wait, I'll tell you. So when I saw that I'm in that space and there is a growing need for others to do that, I said, why not enable it? Why not help them do it? Alright, so I think it all started when I was in Lintas, Low Lintas,
okay.
And I was in Bombay first.
Oh, you were in Mumbai? Oh, you were in Low Mumbai?
Yes, Low Mumbai, and then I asked for a transfer and came back to Bangalore. So this was in the 2012 to 14 period.
So what were you doing in Low Mumbai?
Planning.
You were a planner?
Yeah, throughout. And back in Bangalore to planning again, right?
So Low Bangalore, which era was this?
So this was 2013 to 14 in Bangalore, 12 to 13 in Bombay.
Okay.
1 year there, 1 year here.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
And that's when I thought I must write a book. The idea for the book was there for quite a few months. It kind of stewing in my mind. Alright, I just stewed over it, let it be. In Bombay, I didn't find the time at all, man. There's no time to breathe. I said, boss, Bombay is not my city. I'm not for this place. So I asked for a transfer and came to Bangalore.
So before this Mumbai stint, how long were you in Bangalore? Were you in Bangalore at all?
Well, okay, so I'll put it chronologically. So when I left Fountainhead.
So like you're a Chennai boy, technically.
Absolutely, man.
Chennai boy. Okay.
Chennai boy, even now Chennai, Madras. Yes, at heart. I don't call it Chennai at all. So Madras boy at heart.
Madras boy.
So then after I left Fountainhead in 2003 October, I moved to Blue Star, the client side.
Right.
Spent about 4.5 years there in the marketing function.
Right.
I headed dealer development and did some deep shit and all that. So good stuff. Lovely life, lots of travel. Took me to all corners of the country.
I can imagine. And a company that sells refrigerators and air conditioners. Also taking you to the hottest parts of the country. Not in a work in a social sense, but in a temperature sense.
I know. So I went there, traveled. So great time, good work. And then I said, no, but branding and communication is my calling. That's where I need to be. Okay. Again, the motive of expression. Okay. So I came back. Then that's when I moved to Bangalore. I took up, started working as a consultant here at Vertibrand, which is...
Blue Star was basing you out of?
Madras.
Oh, you were still in Madras?
I was still in Madras.
Okay.
So then in 2008 Feb, or March, I moved to Bangalore when I took up this role as a brand consultant in Bangalore. All right. So at Vertibrand. So I moved to Bangalore, and from then on I've been here. So it's been 13 years now.
Wow.
13 years and a few months.
Yeah. So I just a couple of years less than me. I've been here for about 15 years now.
Oh, okay.
I think I must have. Yeah, I think I moved here in 2005.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
So after that, I did that for a couple of years, and then I said this bug bit me. So I said I need to strike out on my own. Alright, I can't do this corporate shit. I figured out that, man. That I think guys like you and me, we would have figured it out. But then I think for us it was just a question of when. That's how I see it. At least for me it was that.
I knew that I was. I always knew that I'm not a corporate guy. But of course, I still have corporate affiliations. As in, I'm heading creative for this agency called Madras, by the way.
Oh, lovely!
This is called Madras. It's a nice mid-sized agency. Very interesting. Place with some very good people, and we're doing some interesting work.
Man.
So that I still have the advertising corporate connection, but at heart, of course,
yes,
I'm not corporate. In fact, sometimes I get in trouble at work because at heart I'm not corporate, and the corporate environment today has changed so drastically from what you and I
used to when we knew.
We used to when we were kids, when we were young kids, right? Because it's become so much of political correctness.
Yes.
So much of posturing.
Correct.
Even in a great place like Madras, there's so much of
even in this creative space.
Yeah, even in this creative space, there's so much of pretense, and you've got to say and do the right things.
Put up that facade.
No, actually, doing the right things is okay by me, but you also have to say the right things.
Right.
Even though people know your intentions, sometimes you're judged by even that stupid joke you crack.
Correct.
You can't say that.
Right.
But do this advertising.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Anything doesn't go.
Not anymore. Yeah, that anything goes. That rebellious, streak. You better curb today in advertising, which is, I guess, the function of all corporates,
all environments and all industries.
A little more sanitized, which makes me even more sure that I'm not meant for this line or this space. Because you and I will not. I think there's certain kind of personality you require to last in the corporate space, and not just to last but to thrive.
To thrive, to enjoy it.
To genuinely enjoy. I think more than anything else, forget thriving, succeeding. For you to be able to enjoy the environment, you've got to be a certain kind of person, which I'm not, and I'm definitely you're not.
I'm not. Yeah. So I figured that out, and then I just jumped ship. Okay, I just left, struck out. Along with a friend of mine, we started a consulting setup, and good idea actually back then. Must be in 2012. Yes. This was consulting for the SMBs, small and medium businesses. So my friend Tuhin comes from a finance and process background. Yeah, he had a mix of both, alright? So he had those strengths and that knowledge. I had my creative branding, communication kind of knowledge, and a little bit of, humanities and human relationships. Let me put it that way. So we just joined hands and we said, let's address this need, SMBs don't have the money, they don't have the talent, but they need the skills, they need this expertise, alright, to fix certain things.
Right.
So we identified finance, HR, processes and marketing, and then we said let's help them on these areas, and then we just struck out. We set up a small outfit and then we started consulting, and we did that for 2 years, but we had to kind of shut it in 2012, and that's when, like I said earlier, I had to move to a proper job again. When I took up a job, joined Loaf. And because nothing was available in Bangalore, they said something's there in Bombay, do you want to come? I said, okay. I just needed a job, boss, at that time, right? We were in a financial hole, So, and see, that is, I don't know, in retrospect, it's interesting, you learn, you moved away now, there's the distance of time. But it was a pathetic time, a dark time. So,
dark time
financially. Financially. Because, we had a third partner, apart from this friend of mine, we had a third partner. So, he kind of cheated us. So, alright, and really, that was
that's one of the reasons why I've always been, at least so far, not because I'm arrogant or aloof.
Not entered a partnership.
Partly that as well, but partnerships can be dicey.
Yes, they can be.
Two-way,
absolutely.
And I guess when it's more than two-way, it gets even dicier because we all have our own agendas. So unless we are really clear on what our agenda is, unless we are 100% aligned, or at least, maybe 100% is impossible.
80,
at least 90%, okay, at least 80%, absolutely aligned.
Yes.
It gets a little weird. And any firm, any company, any partnership. So I'm a little wary of that. Yeah. And of course, I've got so many cases where people like you and me who are not really the sharp financial minds. You don't really look at the nitty-gritties. You don't really read every bullet point in the conditions.
You're not savvy in that way.
You're not savvy. You're not shrewd.
Yeah.
Right in certain areas, and you can be taken. You can be taken for a ride. You can be
Yes. And I was. So I mean, my friend Tuhin and I had absolutely. And then so that was a financial hole. Yeah. So we actually, because by taking this job, and from then on, I have climbed out of that hole, all right?
Okay.
So things came to a head, and then there was a threat of a legal suit and all that from somebody else, right? So we had to contend with all that, man. And remember, this is still in the early 30s types, and for our first exposure, and for the kind of people you said we were, crazy, man.
Yeah.
So I had to take up the job, and I think that helped us climb out of that hole. And my wife was also working, thank God that helped.
Okay.
But then we moved to Bombay, then came back, and then she had to be out of a job because we had a very young child at that time, 2.5 years.
Right.
So she said, okay, I'll be at home, I'll take care of the child. And then that we went through. So I was a single earning member and all that. But we really clawed our way out of it, okay?
Right.
And that's something that I want to put totally behind. I have. Bro, nobody should
It's one
do
of the
that.
things you hope you don't have to go back to, right?
Yeah, man.
But having said that, I mean, I've not the same thing, but similar, man. I've been in my own really deep financial hole, and I don't want to tell you the extent, or maybe we can discuss that afterwards, because it's
I know.
it's not something that's important. But I too it took me a few years to claw myself out of that hole. But the amazing thing is, and I'm sure you feel. Let me know if you feel similarly. Having done that, somehow has made me believe that I can get out of almost anything.
Anything, yes.
Because it was difficult. Those 4 years, 5 years of distress, economic, and of course in my case it was also there was a personal. My financial downfall was preceded by a personal downfall, or rather was caused by it, and compounded by my own stupidity, lack of life experience, lack of common sense, lack of guidance from better people, because I didn't have any better people around. At least I didn't allow better people to guide me. But I still somehow, through sheer resilience, which proper the Madras, the grit, being from Madras, the slum grit, got me through it, and somehow it's made me.
So being on the wrong side of the tracks came in handy.
Absolutely. Like that whole perseverance of do or die. Fuck, I'm not dying.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not dying. Or I will die trying.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to die motionless.
Yeah.
I'm not going to roll over and
I'm not going to give up.
Jump into my grave. Fuck that. And having gone through that experience, I think it's really made me stronger. Mentally, actually only mentally, physically, I don't know. Definitely mentally, emotionally, I think, psychologically.
Yes.
And I think more than that, I think of course resilience and grit, it's also, I think, somewhere helped me to empathize.
And
because
connect better.
You don't know who's going through what
shit, yes,
right?
yes.
Like if anyone had, apart from close friends, maybe if you had met me at that time, I would have opened up and said, yeah man, going through some really bad shit. But I'm not someone who, I mean, most people don't, right? I don't really want sympathy. I don't really sympathize and feel bad for me. So for the random onlooker, I'm just a regular guy doing a regular thing.
Absolutely.
Those are dark times.
Yes.
So I realized that there could be many others around me
going through something like this.
Something like that or worse. Right?
So
it's helped me empathize. It's helped me be a little kinder to the people around.
Totally.
Because,
I can understand that.
You never know. You never know who's going through what.
Yeah,
that was bad shit.
Yeah. No, I completely get you, because I think it did the same thing to me also. Although I was the fair bit of empathy and understanding and stuff like that, but
no, I was
nothing like that. No, I'm talking about myself.
My fall from grace now, I think, was very warranted, because I was a fairly aggressive brute. Not violent, not going around slapping or abusing people, but my own way, my own
personality
nature. Because I came from zero, right? The only thing that drove me always and kept me moving slightly upward was my aggression.
Right.
Was my drive, and was my
push your way through.
Right? So I had very little time for empathy. And I was too young. To empathize. I had no time. Like, get out of the way.
Get out of the way, bro. Let me move.
Let's move together or get out of the way.
Or get out.
But that attitude, and I'm still, I think, to an extent driven. I think I'd like to believe that, but tempered with some empathy.
Right.
People around, because not everyone is as privileged or has had the privileges that even I have had.
Yeah.
But that's because frankly, I would look back and say that you were already a better person than I was. If I had just had to compare apples and pears.
Right.
I was a rough guy, and you know that. I mean, I had a lot of rough edges.
Right.
Which happens when you come from a certain kind of a
environment.
That's
true.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, back to you.
So nice, man. No, so that taught me a lot, just like what you said for yourself. It taught me grit. It taught me grit as in it helped me find the grit within myself, which I didn't even know existed. Alright? And that's beautiful. Yeah, it's so powerful, man.
Absolutely.
Grit, which goes hand in hand with resilience. Alright, that I need to make it out of this hole. Right. And this can't be the end of me.
Absolutely.
Alright, and I can't let it happen that way.
Right.
So I clawed both, and I need to name my wife here as in Charu. I need to really, I don't know, man, it just goes beyond thanking and all that nonsense, I mean, she's just there. She's always been there. She's part of my presence. She's part of my life, right? And there is that deep connection, which has helped us do this all together.
Right.
All right. And then we climbed out of the financial hole. So I found this job at Love, came back to Bangalore. And then that's when I said I need to write a book, because I sensed that there was a book in me. I wanted to write about entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs who were doing good kick-ass work out there. And that was a time when the media, and even today that continues, all right, there's a lot of nonsense about entrepreneurs, yeah, and about how you make ventures happen, how you scale up ventures or how you build ventures. Entrepreneurship itself, very romantic,
seminars,
so very romanticized. Ultimately, this is what the majority of the content is: very romanticized narratives, seen through some sort of a lens, right? And the focus was always on numbers and growth and funding and scaling and stuff.
Right.
That's one part. The other part was, I said that there are a lot of stories in media narratives about older entrepreneurs, right? Older people striking out and making it big. But I saw, because I was a guest faculty member and I was teaching, and mentoring a few students at colleges in Bangalore.
Okay.
I said there's a lot of interest and actual work being done in colleges, all right, by college students or people who've just passed out. So my book was about that. So that's how the underage CEOs came out.
It's called the underage
CEOs.
Wow.
So they are what? Yeah, it's just about, and the strapline is fascinating stories of Indians, young Indians who've become CEOs in their 20s.
Okay.
So people who've eschewed the corporate life said, bugger all, I don't want to go that way. I need to do something of my own, and I'm driven by a vision. So the book did not take on people who just developed an app for the sake of it.
Right.
It didn't take on this internet phenomena. It's none of that. And it was, of course, before the internet phenomena. I looked at...
When was this book?
2000 came out in 2015 October.
Okay.
All right.
That was not before the internet era.
No. The internet millionaires and the YouTube influencers and all that, that kicked in only later.
I think that was the time when it was sort of happening, but what do I say? I think it's blown up over the last 2017, 2018 is really blown up. I think.
Yes.
Yeah. But
and there was pretty much an offline tint to entrepreneurship even then. It's come on. Yeah. All right.
It's a goof to the machine.
So I wrote about them. I picked and chose about 11 of them from India, long-listed them, shortlisted them.
So it's a book that focused on actual entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs.
Yes.
That you either you documented or you discovered.
Yes, correct. And I wrote about their stories, about the why and the how and the what.
Nice.
All right. And to me that was big.
It is big. For anyone
to do it at that age, including people from a village in Jharkhand, from Hubli, from places like that, including that, men and women.
Nice.
So I wrote that, and that's when I knew that there was a lot of writing juice in me. There's still a lot of juice, and this could become an abiding passion, all right? So one realized that and said, okay, then I need to write more and more, and there are things I'm passionate about. So I became a writer, just to cut things short. That was when I became a writer. I started off as a journalist.
Anything short, but yeah.
All right. So I started off as a journalist. And then I quickly also moved on to writing content for companies. All right. So the writing as a profession thing started then.
Okay.
And I moved out at that time and I said, look, I don't want to be in the corporate gig anymore. So while I've started writing, my book has come out, this track that I'm seeing here, I said it's also a good time to become a branding consultant. So I've always been in branding and communication. I said, instead of working for someone, I'll work for myself.
So let me just understand this. So you were in Low Bangalore, so you quit your job, or you wrote the book while you were working?
I wrote the book when I was at Low. And it was a mad time.
Nice.
Imagine the ad agency, late night, crazy schedules.
You were in planning.
I was in planning.
And Low, especially that era you're mentioning, was a very busy agency. I think all agencies, even just before the pandemic, there was a huge lull because the economy was anyway dying.
Yes.
And sort of the COVID has metaphorically and otherwise put the economy
put paid to things
on a ventilator. right? But 2015, 14, 16,
we were rocking.
Low was a very prosperous and very busy agency.
Totally, and I think the biggest in Bangalore.
You know how these things
are the Bangalore branch,
but definitely, if not the biggest,
and
one of the top two.
Top two for sure.
Top two for sure.
Yes. There was only one in Bangalore.
So I'm a slightly anti-low guy, so it's hard to accept, but I can understand.
No, and I didn't mean Big John. You're an Ogilvy guy.
I was an Ogilvy most of my tenure.
So I know, you don't want to let go of that. No, but between O&M and Bangalore, Linters, we pretty much had Bangalore.
In my books, the only agency that was in any way competition to Ogilvy is Low. JLT is a different zone and McCann is another different zone.
Totally different
zone. In terms of creative or brand excellence or client value, right? I think it's only a value to the client. Ogilvy and Low, I don't know about how things are today, but for most of my career understanding, it's Ogilvy and Low. You can debate which is first, which is second.
True.
To me, for the most part, a two-horse race. You know?
And you know what? I think that also comes from both of them having the same kind of buzz. I use the word buzz, it comes to my mind. Alright? The vibrance.
I think Bangalore, now I don't think anyone has any buzz.
Not now.
But then. I think Low had a bigger buzz in Bangalore.
Yes. So it's very vibrant, lots of good brand work, a lot of conversations.
We had sort of come down. Softened down by late 2008, 9, 10.
Yeah.
You know, but Low kept that up. I think.
Low in Bangalore definitely kept that up, and so did it in Bombay, of course.
Yeah.
So I was there, then I quit, and then I said, okay, I can now be a consultant, and I will just do my branding thing. So I continue to help companies, brand positioning, strategy, all that stuff, communication, while I continue to write as a journalist and write content for companies.
So again, hold on, you wrote the book when you were in Low, but your stock would have gone up, right, with clients and with...
but no, bro, no.
Because that's why you being a planner, this add to the
it possibly...
By the way, our planner just released a book, on underage CEOs.
So highbrow stuff.
Yeah, correct.
I know.
Usually that's the kind of stuff that gets you a double promotion or puts you in line for the next branch head position. I mean, usually, you know what I'm saying?
I know.
These things add to your stock, right? How did that affect your...
But I don't think it added to my stock at all,
What do you say?
Alright, and honestly, So I think that's where stuff that we were discussing earlier, so political shit. So a lot of favoritism, looking at things through a very narrow kind of lens.
But then a guy like you should have been able to maneuver through that.
No, man, so I'm not that kind of guy, Otherwise, I would have thrived and I would have enjoyed that environment.
I'll tell you something, okay? If I had stuck
to advertising... I couldn't.
Okay, this is pissing me off. Hey, Bhavesh, edit all this out, okay? Actually, put it in the show. It'll be interesting. People see what...
put it. Let it be. Let it just be,
So, I mean, not that
we were saying...
blow my own trumpet. One of the reasons I left advertising, or at least for a while, now I know I'm back in advertising for a bit with Madras. I don't know how long.
But even if you're working with them, you're there as a consultant, are you?
Yeah, I'm a consultant.
So one leg is still out, right?
But that's not the point. The point is, if I had stuck to advertising, I would have ruled advertising. Because advertising, in my opinion, right, it's all about saying the right things to the right people at the right time.
At the right time, in the right way.
In the right way.
Correct.
These 4 things. And I think being from the slums of Madras, over the first 5-6 years of my life, I recognized this pattern and I was getting very close to doing a good job of it.
And you were gearing up for that.
I knew that if I wanted to.
Right.
It's a path is there, it's just about walking it. But the price you have to pay for that is heavy. You've got to be a fake version of yourself.
Yeah.
You can't be honest about everything you feel.
Absolutely.
And that's true of any corporate environment. But
yes.
I think but in advertising it's worse because you are meant to be a creative rebel.
Correct.
At least you were in servicing, planning, so you had maybe some practice in curbing instincts and all that.
Right, some framework and some border and...
As a creative person, I'd have to change who I was.
Yes.
I said, dude, अगर तेरे को NCD बनने का है, तो बन सकता है. But you'll have to change a certain way. Are you willing to do that?
You weren't and neither was I. So honestly, I wasn't. So I figured out all that, and it was very evident to me. And especially also because remember earlier we were speaking about how companies have generally changed and got sanitized and become politically correct and all that. I think that had kicked in by then. Started.
Low is a place that should have been sanitized a long time ago.
Totally. And so there was
fucking wild west, dude. Low, as far as I understand. I mean, of all the agencies, one of the last few agencies to rein themselves in was possibly Low.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that, Damacha. So I'm talking about the network agencies kicking in.
Okay,
imagine,
right.
No, imagine this. Okay, I can't. I don't think we can digest it even today. Advertising agencies, yeah, you have a biometric system, man. You have to press in and then walk in. God. The day that happened, I knew this is it, boss. I need to get out.
That is your biggest problem. That you should go back to advertising today and see how it's transformed. I remember the same thing happened. I think I was in Ogilvy at the time, and they had the biometric.
Your thumbprint and all that.
Thumbprint, so they know when you come.
Yeah.
And even to enter the office, and
keeping tabs and
stuff. Oh God, what nonsense!
Seriously.
But dude, today that's the least.
Least of the problems. So it panned out for me too. Yeah, I'm just citing that as one example of my earliest time when I had an inkling. But like I said, biggest problems were favoritism, politicking, sucking up, right? And not being able to do...
And I would assume a guy like you, not being able to be honest.
That's what, exactly.
Something which sucks, is so important. You can't say it because somebody else more important than you doesn't believe it sucks.
It sucks, correct. Yeah, they rave about it.
Line.
Yeah.
Right? They think it works.
They rave about it. Right? Yeah. They don't just think it works. Oh, brilliant, huh? And especially brilliant if it's done by some people.
Correct.
Not so brilliant if it's done by...
A certain person has to be brilliant.
Correct. Right, okay. So those vibes really hit me badly, alright? Deep down. And I said, okay, now with the book coming out and blah blah and all of this adding up, this is the time, boss. Thank you, but no thank you. And then I left. And then from that time is when I would say my rebirth or whatever, or as an entrepreneur, as someone who's been on his own feet.
Gunny 2.0.
Gunny 2.0, really, man. And this time I said it's for keeps, it's for good.
Okay.
Alright? Okay. And there was in my mind no looking back now.
Okay.
Alright? And so I didn't make the mistakes I made earlier, like entering into a partnership and generally, doing shit that was not, even back then I realized, getting into HR and stuff and consulting for those companies, really not in my DNA and I need not have done that, alright? So I kept away, gave all those mistakes a wide berth, a wizened gunny. So I said, okay, I'm now along this path and there's a lot of alignment between what I am, what I'm good at and what I can do for the world and what the world needs. So I wrote and I continue to write as a journalist even today and I write content for companies as and when that comes up. I continue to consult.
How did the financials work out for you? Going from a corporate job to being on your own and writing, which is...
it doesn't pay much.
That's what I'm saying. I have the right to...
I know.
Right?
I know. Hey, but you can't say that.
I can't.
You fucking do a fat salary for writing, okay?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I also, what can I say, before I joined advertising as a consultant with Madras, I was an ad filmmaker for about 8-9 years.
Right.
Not the most prosperous. But even then, good monies.
Good money.
Despite not being the most prosperous in the industry. Monies were good.
Good, yeah.
I've always managed to make not insane amounts of money,
but good
amounts of money.
Right.
But of course, because of personality flaws and being generally stupid, none of that.
And because of the kink.
And none of that prevented me from going down the financial hole.
Right.
The abyss that I had to pull myself out of. But yeah, but having said that, in general, writing is not the most...
Yes, I agree completely.
You were in servicing, you were in planning, obviously better paying, avenues. So how did that... Oh, but your wife has started working by then?
So yes, and that helped, and which is why I kind of said what I said about her earlier.
Right.
Right? So she comes across as a, leitmotif in my life and in various ways. So she had a job and that was rock solid and thank God that saved us. And we had a kid which was at 2 years, 3 years old that time. So there were things to be thought of. You're absolutely right.
You have one child, 2 children now.
Just one. Enough.
Boy or girl?
Boy.
Okay. His name?
Tejas. He's what? He's 11 next month.
He's 11 years old.
11 in October. Yeah, bro. Wow. He's like, I'm 11 and we're like, yo, you're 11.
It's amazing.
So it's really, time.
I know you and I don't look it, but last time, in another previous life, which is about 21 years ago, we were young kids, sort of, youngish kids, 23, 24 year old, right? And today you have 11 year old. Wow.
Yeah, man.
I have a 12 year old, but anyway.
That's how it is.
And a 9 year old, so it's right in between. Anyway. Yeah, go on.
So her job helped a lot. Okay. That kind of stabilized the boat, alright? And then I earned whatever I earned. It came in lump sums, it came in packets now, not now.
One tranche here and there.
Spread out over 3 months, 5 months,
You never know when it's coming, but it's coming. On the books it's there, but you never know when it's coming.
Yeah. So that happened, that went on. And so for me, I think I was just building. And that first time, I think, which I was setting up myself again, that rebirth and 2.0, it took a little bit of time, like I think it always does.
Of course.
So absolutely. I think those first 3 years, since I struck out on own.
Which was 2017?
No, 2015.
Oh, 15, sorry. The book launch.
Yes,
came out.
just after, maybe early 2016 types. Right. So I just, and then those 3 years after then, till 18 end or 19 beginning, I would clearly say was just building.
Right.
All right. Just building the foundation, just setting things in place,
right,
and just going along. All right. No major growth. And then from 19 onwards, things really, I think, moved to the next gear and the next gear. And I added a couple of other things to my portfolio, all in that thing of self-expression, in that same breath, the same vein. So I said, if I'm a writer, and I'm a pretty good writer at that, I should also automatically be a good editor. You can't separate one from the other. Right. So writing is not just about free-flowing expression and leaving it just like that. All right. At least not poetry. Poetry is that kind of form.
Correct.
Right?
It can be abstract, it can be personal.
Absolutely.
It can
unpunctuated, ungrammatical.
Absolutely.
Anything goes. Practically, more or less.
It's pure art.
Sure, and it's just pure expression. It's not applied expression.
It's not applied. It's not commercial expression. It's just you saying what you want to anyone who cares to listen.
Correct. So it's not formatted in any way, by and large. But every other form of writing is. So I've realized that I have two things, Ramacha, and I've realized it everywhere. So as a planner, I realized I'm good at strategy and pretty good at creative. Meaning I could write pretty decent stuff. So one of the things that galled me those days was my lines would never see the light of day. Would never make it to clients, alright? Not that I wrote too much, but you would step in, you were the stepney, right? And those, you know that kind of people we always used to float around, anytime ready to step in.
Correct.
Right, but good lines never saw the light of day. But it taught me something about myself, saying I'm good with structure and I'm good with free flow. There's a decent balance of both in me. So creativity and strategy, writing and planning, stuff like that, so both yin and yang. So I said the same thing is at play between a writer and an editor. And I said I'm pretty good at that also, and I got into editing books professionally.
Okay.
So I added that to my portfolio of work.
Edit books?
I edit books as a professional.
So you work for publishing houses?
No. I've kind of chosen to keep away from them because it's a low-paying market and there are many.
That's what I thought.
I work directly with authors.
Sorry, excuse me. Sorry. Are you saying?
I work with authors directly.
Okay.
So they come to me with their manuscript and I edit it, proofread it. I kind of make it tighter, make that message, whatever they have, shine through. That's the attempt at least. And then it is ready for publishing. So whether they want to self-publish or they want to pitch it to a publisher, a traditional publisher, that's up to them. So we discuss. So I also guide them along the way, saying,
who might be interested?
Who might be interested? Where is this a best fit?
Right.
Given your priorities, some people want to get the book out quickly. Some people are not hung up about a traditional publisher. Some people are. So depending on their priorities and whatever they want to do, we kind of, I tell them, look, you have these two options. Path A, path B, option A, option B. And so now what do you want to do? So we discuss and we come to some conclusion. Many of these books are self-published. Some of them, I help them develop a manuscript proposal, right? You need to pitch a book, right? And you need to make a proposal,
of course.
Send it to a publisher. So I do both.
But in this era where I don't know if people are reading less or more, but I know that less books are being sold, right? How remunerative or how commercially viable is what you're doing? Because the author has to make money, able to pay you, right? Or are these people who have a certain amount of money put aside? So how does it work? Like I know that if an unpublished author, how much? How does it work? How do you?
So see.
I mean, not to get personal.
No. I'm
just trying to understand.
No, I know. Valid question. So monies are pretty good, okay?
Good.
Yeah, especially if you work for markets abroad, especially if you work for authors living abroad.
Exactly.
Okay? So in India,
now it makes sense.
Yes.
So Indian authors cannot afford
and
the services of somebody.
No, it's not just about affording. It's about valuing it.
Correct.
And it's about that Indian mentality of holding back, bargaining.
Who are you?
Yes, and bargaining.
Yeah,
and saying, can I get it for so much less.
Yeah.
So beyond a point.
Okay, if you just edited half the book.
Can I do it for this much instead of that much, please? So they're all, most of the people, and those who come to me thankfully, are people who have money, who are well off, who are doing well in their work, their stream of work, whatever.
Correct.
But there is this mentality that always kicks in, predominantly. And there are some clients who've been gems of clients, Indians, who've paid me the due, who've paid me what I've asked for, what I think is fair.
Right.
There are those kinds also. I must credit them and thank them for that.
Absolutely.
But the predominant mindset is something you can't run away from,
Of course.
So I realized that a year into this profession, while I've built my chips, my body of work, and I learned the ropes and blah blah whatever, I said I'm pretty good. Now it's ready. It's time for me to move into other markets. Right. So I've edited books, and I do edit books now for people in Singapore, in the USA, and in Europe.
Wow. Okay.
That move has helped me a lot. And I can't say I'm still firmly entrenched there. It's a space I need to explore more.
But you are able to, you're not restricted to any particular genre of books. As an outside editor, you are able to edit the language. But with a focus on the content. Like, how does it work?
Yeah, I'll tell you. So there are two questions or two parts. One is a genre. So I work across genres. I'm fluid, I'm agnostic, whatever you call it. So I think I've just not edited poetry so far. But there's chance that I will do that. But other than that, I've edited every form of books, man. So there are business professionals and working professionals who come to me, entrepreneurs, startup founders. They come to me. I've edited their books,
But what do you? Assuming there are at least 10 listeners to this, what kind of value do you add? I come to you with a manuscript. Let's say it's a book on advertising, right?
Right.
I've written it. Let's assume that I've written it well.
Right.
What value? Okay, no advertising.
How do I?
Actually, you know advertising and I know advertising. Forget it. Let's say it's a book on.
You want to take memoirs?
Memoirs. Okay, memoirs. Right. No, memoirs are still personal. I'm talking about, let's say, business artificial intelligence, which I don't know.
Business books, right?
Let's say AI. It's a book on AI. I'm assuming you don't know much about AI.
Yeah.
We come from the same generation.
Yeah, we come from the same planet, a different planet.
Different planet. So let's assume you don't know shit about AI.
Yeah.
But let's say I come to you with a manuscript that focuses on.
Right.
I'm a technology expert, and the book focuses on AI. Would you be able to add value to that book?
Yes. I still would. And you know what? So some of the books that come to me are in genres or in topics that I have no clue about.
Right.
No bloody clue about.
Right.
And there have been books like that. It's part of my life. I'll take an example. So there was this book on the values of agile organizations.
Okay.
Alright, so agility is a thing and not just a physical thing, right? Not how we can bend and move.
Right.
So it's about how organizations can bend and move, metaphorically. So there is agility, and it's a science, there are principles, there are precepts, there is research, and there are practices. There are tools. So I edited a book on which spoke about the core values of agile organizations, knowing shit about it. Okay. But I still can do it because of 2-3 reasons. One is the first level of editing is structural, machan.
Right.
Structure.
So you try to look at it as a layman. Reader.
I look at it as a layman at that time, as a typical reader would at that time, right? And I just see if it makes sense to me structurally. Which means has this author split that topic into enough number of sections and chapters, and do the chapters flow well? Has he addressed what seems to me all aspects of that chapter, alright, of that topic? Now here, it's not just a lay reader, okay? It's not that. It's a lay reader plus a little bit of business knowledge.
Right.
Okay? So because of
domain
my
expertise,
corporate working experience and consulting experience, it puts me in a good space to take on all business books. Alright, because I come with that bit of inkling at least of what goes on.
Right.
And I can ask the right business related questions. Right? So I may not be a domain expert, not at all, but I have good exposure to business and the way organizations
When I mean domain, I mean the domain of publishing, the domain of books.
That I know.
Yeah.
Correct. So I ask questions regarding chapterization, the flow, the narrative, and within each chapter, something seems to be disjointed, there is a gap, there is overweightage on something, there is an imbalance, stuff like that. So those are things that you evaluate as you read.
What if the book sucks? Sometimes
what
if the book sucks? What if you read it and you're like, oh my god, this is a bad book, what do you do? What if I know that must have happened?
Yeah.
100%.
No, it does.
How many books have you edited so far? A rough number. 50,
Rough
60,
number would be around less than 100, in the range of 70 maybe.
Then 100%, at least 7 books.
Yeah.
10% average, not even bad books. So what do you do? I'm sure the intent was there.
Yes.
So nobody writes with the intent of writing a bad book.
Correct.
But I think just.
But yes, if it sucks, it sucks. Okay.
It sucks.
And I should know that. I would pick it up.
But would you be able to tell the people that?
I would in my own way, and there is a way to do that.
So do you also believe that any book can also be converted to the right editing, right? No.
See, if the content, the score of that message is good, right? But badly structured, bad in grammar, bad sentence.
Yeah, if the foundation
then you can make it shine. That's a rough diamond. You can make it shine.
Right. That's where you come in.
That's where I come in.
People like you come in.
Yes. Yeah. But if that product, like we say in advertising, right? Bloody hell, man! If it's a bad product, you keep advertising, then you're just making a loss for the company.
It's like Reliance CDMA.
Correct.
While in theory it was advanced, CDMA was better than GSM, right? In its time, but over time it was a very bad product because they were only 2G. They never went to 3G or 4G, and they could never do it.
Correct.
A stupid product.
So if an author comes to me with bad content per se, which however much I tell them and communicate with them, I'm not able to make them understand and improve it, then it's a problem.
Right.
Then it's a problem.
Right. But it's also someone's 6 or 8 months of work and their
ego
and their feelings. So how do you? Yeah, man.
It's the baby.
It's a tough place.
Yes, it comes. You know where? It comes from the heart. It comes from the pit of the stomach. Exactly. It comes from the heart.
This person has spent days and nights.
Absolutely. So
how do you tell them your baby's ugly? No.
So, you know what? So I go back to, and this is really important, I go back to my motivation of why I'm doing this. You know, this whole thing about helping people, being a catalyst of self-expression and stuff. So I take that to heart, alright, and that's written in stone for me. So I come from that space. Right. So it's a space which is always empowering, ennobling, helping.
Right.
Alright? So when I say that something is not good, or when I feel that something is not good and it can completely be improved or be overhauled, I give them comments, I give them suggestions, I tell them what exactly is missing, where is it missing, how can you fix it.
Right.
I hold their hand as much as I can,
right.
And in some of these books, they may come back with that added content, right? So you revise the content, you add it, but then it's still a mess in terms of language, structure, right? So I rewrite. As an editor, when it comes to the next stage of editing, that's called copy editing. So you're done with the structural editing. The author rewrites those parts and sends you a revised manuscript, right? Then comes the most intense part of editing, which is line by line, you run the manuscript through a fine-tooth comb.
I can't imagine. That's a lot of patience.
Man. Absolutely. Yeah. I go cross-eyed, yeah. Fuck, I just see words and words everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? It's an insane place to be, but it's a beautiful place to be. Okay? Driven by that intent always.
Right.
So there are ways to do that. I take a break.
You're obviously a more genuine writer than I am. I'd be like, fuck this shit. 2 books. I'd be like, you know what?
I can't, no more.
Behind the camera. I'd rather be behind the camera. I can't see so many words, but amazing. Yeah.
And the thing is to never give up. Never give up on the book, not give up on the author.
Right. But that's what I meant. Like, how do you not give up on the author? Because I'm sure, well, some of the people you worked with must be, I'm sure their writing skills may have been an 8 or 9 on 10, but there would have been people who have genuine passion.
Yes.
But the writing is
a
3 on 10 or 3 on 10. Right?
Yes.
And you see this passion for writing, which is to be encouraged, but it's like everybody wants to bat like Sachin,
Correct.
Not everybody can.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
your timing is off.
Yes.
Or your stance is wrong, and
your technique is just not there.
Right? So what do you do in these cases? How do you tell them, dude, you should stop playing cricket?
So I use a mix of. I don't use a stick, but I definitely use a lot of carrot, and I say it in my own way. So honesty is still very important for me. Early on, when I get a sense of the book, I tell them, boss, these are the whites and these are the blacks. This is plus, this is minus. This works, not works. I lay it out for them in a very empowering way, saying it's in the best interest of the book and I'm there to hold your hand, but you need to know this, right? And if you say it in that way, I've realized most people accept it, or everybody accepts it.
Right.
I've thankfully not had a single case when someone has thrown their towel and said, no, you've done it the wrong way. I don't agree with this assessment and I don't want to go forward.
Right.
So they will get it because you're doing it for them, for the book.
You are, you're not being judgmental.
I'm not being judgmental.
You're just doing the job that you've been hired to do.
Yes, and
enable them to get their book out.
Absolutely. And one of the things I've put up on my website, because it's a core value for me, is...
What's your website called?
It's called ganeshv.com. www.ganeshv.com.
Right.
I've said that,
it's not Ganesh, it's Ganesh.
It's Ganesh. Ganesh.com.
Ganesh.
It's not Ganesh or...
Like in Madras, it's always Ganesh. Hey, Ganesha.
Shit, man. Even now there are so many people who call me Ganeshan.
Ganeshan. Yeah, I can imagine. That's why. So it's ganeshv.com.
Yeah. Can I just be what I am?
For the interest of our 4 listeners.
Or 40,000 or 4 lakh.
Or who knows. Yeah, maybe someday.
So, ganeshv.com. So, anyway, I'm saying that I've put it up there. You can expect a sensitive, empathetic, non-judgmental, informal, yet professional relationship with me.
Right.
I've made it clear.
Right.
All right. So then I say, look, can you just fix this, the structural bits, add the content bits, revise this and send it back to me? Then I'm going to take extra time because this needs extra work and I'm going to charge you more for that.
Right.
All right.
Right.
That's how it works. Are you okay with that? Right. So there's always a sense of, are you okay? Are you okay? Keeping them.
You make sure they don't feel like they've been cheated at any level by anything.
Either cheated, macha, or very, very importantly, I don't want to talk down to them.
Right. Right.
They don't want that
They're
sense.
not trying to come from a place where you know better.
Of superiority,
right.
of that I know better.
Right.
No. I completely get you and where you're coming from and what you want to do.
That's
I'm
important.
here.
That's important.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm
the
here.
The first time author, it must be unnerving also. And
totally.
People also have their own doubts.
Doubts
right?
and
why am I doing this? Should I be doing this?
Totally.
What am I thinking?
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Self-doubt, confusion,
right.
Fear
right.
of failure, rejection, all that.
Right.
So I'm there with them and I tell them this very importantly early on. And then I say, okay, now I need more time. And look, this is the kind of money I'm going to charge you and it's fair for the work. Are you okay? You're okay. Great. Then we move forward. Then they fix the bits structurally, content-wise, domain-wise, whatever. Give it back to me. And I take my time. I need to caress that book into shape. Right? I can't do a slipshod work. I can't do that. So I do that and then it comes out. It comes out as good as it can.
Right.
So I think core to all of this from the author's side is openness, practicality and saying I'm the best at what I do. They are the best in their story. They are the expert on their story or the message or that knowledge. Let's bring this together. If that sense is there, and that's what I try to bring to the table, then you're on.
And how many of the books that you've edited, they've all managed to go on to become published books, either self-published or otherwise?
Yes.
Okay.
Except for the 4 or 5 or a dozen that are in the works.
In the works.
Yes.
In the pipeline.
Given the time frames and revisions and all that, yes.
Right.
But everything else has seen the light of days.
But to me, and I'm just asking this out of genuine curiosity, what is the market for books and authors today? In a world where everyone's consuming video and everyone's hooked onto their mobile phones, forget hardcore content, they're hooked onto Insta Reels and Facebook Reels. How many people are? Because I just walked into Sapna today, right? And I wanted to pick up Asterix and Tintin for my children.
Arey, lovely.
Because, for me, these are books that have always said. I don't know if they appreciate it as much as I did as a child. Because to me, these were
never part of our lives,
right? But I also randomly picked up a couple of books where I felt like no one's buying books, so I should at least contribute in some way. And I bought a couple of books that look interesting, and hopefully I'll read them.
Right.
What is the world of writing and publishing and reading? What's it like today in 2021, pandemic or otherwise? What is the reading habit of people in general and Indians, who are of course our people? Right? What's the deal? I'm sure you know better than I do. How good or bad is it? Is it worse than I might imagine, or is it better than I might realize?
I think it's a little better than what I think you're imagining it to be. All right?
Yeah,
the sense that I'm getting from you, I think it's a little better than that.
Because in a world where everything is done by video, like I'm a filmmaker, right? At least trying to be. So,
you can't say I'm trying to be, okay?
No, trust me.
Yeah, but I get your point. Okay, you're a filmmaker, yes.
No, that's not the point. The point is people are consuming more videos than ever before.
Yes.
Videos than ever before in history, right?
Totally.
And of course, reading has taken a backseat.
Kind of, yeah.
So in today's scenario, what is the world of books like?
So, reading has moved digital, all right? Has moved online, has moved to digital devices. Big trend.
Okay.
But I think reading is still very, very much a part of many people's lives.
Wow. Okay. That's encouraging. That's shocking, but encouraging for me.
Yeah. Much fewer people than earlier are picking up physical books. So physical book sales have gone down.
That's physical book. Because I guess from our era.
Yes, and that's something that we treasure,
the
right?
Kindle still isn't. I can afford a Kindle, but I still haven't bought it because I know I'll never use it. Okay.
You haven't taken to it, yes.
I haven't.
Yes.
I tried. I tried borrowing friends' Kindles and all that.
Right.
It's just, only when I hold a book, the smell of the book, the color of the page,
the texture of the paper,
the font, the page number.
Yes.
And then you're at the important chapter because page ends and there's one page, separator, and then you go to the next chapter.
Correct.
It just maybe it's because I'm from that era.
Yes.
borrowing books from lending libraries. And
yeah. Lending library, absolutely. Correct, man.
So that's the world we come from.
We come from, yes.
Right? So obviously all that has changed today.
Yeah. And also remember, cover graphics, cover design.
Absolutely.
Man, you can just lose yourself in that.
Correct. And I don't think digital books obviously cannot match that.
No, not at all.
Mm-hmm. But that's the evolution, I suppose.
That's the evolution. That's how the world has always moved in every field, every domain, over centuries, right? That's always how it has been. And remember, this, what you described about the feel, the bond for the book, about you and me and people like us, it's that. It's people like us.
People like us.
Another
generation.
Not only generation. I'm saying even within our generation, there are types of people.
Right.
I've realized that all the people in our generation are not the same.
Of course.
Yeah, even in this particular aspect. So many of them, even 10 years ago or 7 years ago, they moved on to a Kindle.
Yeah, a lot of
guys moved on.
In fact, a lot of guys who voracious readers, are forced to buy a Kindle.
Yeah.
Because they just felt like they were going with the times.
Correct.
They probably were.
They probably were. Yeah. And also, so what does this mean? What is it deep down? What is it? It's about your relationship with the book and with the instrument of that message. Right. How am I consuming it, right? It's that relationship.
Fuck man, I'm so glad I'm chatting with you because I have stopped reading, genuinely reading, not just flipping through a book once in a while. Genuine reading habit. I think it's been many years now. It's been at least, I would say, if I were to be honest, at least properly a decade. Proper reading, at least a decade.
Wow.
Even improper reading, it's been 5-6 years.
Okay.
I've been reading.
Even casual reading.
The last 3-4 years, 5 years, because I've been really focusing on, like I said, getting out of that hole. A lot of shit was happening in my life.
Right.
And the funny thing is, I think like exercise, I used to be fit. When you met me, I wasn't so fit, then I got a little fit. I was fit for quite a long time.
Hey, you are, by and large you are.
But not my idea of where I want to be.
Okay.
It's hard once you stop, right? Especially as you grow older, it's hard to get into that genuine, seriously hardcore fitness workout habit.
Sure.
For me, reading is the same thing because it's not. I've got so many books. I just bought 2 books today.
Correct.
But the idea of sitting physically and opening and finding the time, and more than that, the mental space to get into the book.
Immerse yourself.
It's a habit that has just gone out the window, and I'm trying to start it again. But speaking to you, I'm encouraged. I'm motivated.
It's brilliant, Amacha. It's beautiful. I mean, reading unmatched. So even today, I find that space. My wife and I, we find our spaces, our islands of peace and calm.
Mandira's a voracious reader. She's a very good reader.
So we need that. I think we feed off that energy. We feed off whatever it is that reading gives us. All right. But the point is that there aren't many people like us who still hung up. If hung up is not a very disparaging term, I don't use it that way. But they're not very keen on that, right? So for them, it's about the content, irrespective of how they consume it. Right. If you decide you're that kind of person, then it doesn't matter. Today it's Kindle, tomorrow it's the phone, the day after it's wearable, it's whatever. I don't know. For all you know, you might be reading through your glasses tomorrow, man. Right. So that's where the world is going, and that's fine, that's fair, to each his own. But I'm saying, therefore, that reading is not dead by a long distance, not at all. Only the way and from where you read is what is changed.
Book sales are going up, coming down steady.
Digital book sales are going up.
What do you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Digital book sales are going up and they'll continue to go up.
Okay.
Alright. It's only the physical copies, especially in certain genres, and then other factors like the social media standing, followership.
When you say reading, I'm confused. When you say reading, are you talking about all published articles, or are you talking about books?
No, I'm talking about books now. We're talking about books.
Correct.
Yeah. And the same practically.
No, I'm very happy to hear what you're saying, but I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I'm surprised in a positive way when you say that people are still reading. Because my observation of the world around me, or maybe the people around me are dumb fucks. I think I'm surrounded by dumb fucks like me. No, nobody's reading.
You're living in a world of automated machines and equipment and I don't know what.
Nobody around me is reading, dude. So I'm very happy to know that, that the real world, outside of my world, is still into books, digital or otherwise.
Digital or otherwise, forget the form.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they're reading.
Doesn't matter.
Yes.
Good, damn good.
And poetry, short stories, memoirs, business books, motivation, self-improvement, you name it. There is
people
demand.
Are
consuming, reading, all
and
of this.
young people?
Young people also, but not so much in young people. I would say, I think 35 plus is when you would find most of the readers. 30 plus, 35 plus.
35
yes,
plus.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so the 20 to 30 bracket is, I would generalize, lost to the world of reading.
Right.
Generalize.
Do you think that has always been the trend, or is it a new trend? Because
it's a
young
recent
people
trend.
have so much energy drive, they're always outside.
Yeah.
So is that something that is all like the 20s? Our peer groups, and we were 20s. Do you think they were reading more than?
Yes, they were. Yes, they were.
Because they had less distractions.
Yes, less distractions and also fewer outlets. Outlets of energy, time, entertainment, all of that, right? So you had to, somewhere reading would figure in this space.
I read only for entertainment when I was young.
Yeah.
Purely for entertainment, because what else would I do?
Correct.
You know?
So imagine the kind of, or look at the kind of entertainment options or channels that have exploded in all this time, alright? And
gaming,
that is,
man, gaming.
Correct.
I'm not a gamer.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I don't think I can ever be a gamer.
Right.
But if you're a young person today who gets into gaming, you are fucked.
Yeah,
the
you're
world
just
of
sucked
gaming
into that whole...
is fantabulous.
Oh, it's brilliant,
Today, finally, I can afford an Xbox or a PS4 or whatever shit. I can afford the most expensive games. I have not bothered only because it is whatever little I've seen of the gaming world. It's a world of its own.
Yeah,
It's another level. It's like all the sci-fi movies have become a reality.
Correct.
You can literally get into that world.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of young people are doing around the world.
And some of those games are sci-fi gone mad.
Absolutely. It's like sci-fi on heroin.
On steroids, on heroin.
Yeah. It's like Colombian, like high-grade cocaine, man.
Totally.
Yeah, and I'm sure some of the gamers, the guys who are programming it, probably are on.
Probably are real consumers of that,
Imagine these worlds.
Yeah.
Right? It's crazy. And I think and as a filmmaker, I'm so glad I'm in my 40s now, because it's maybe we're 10 years away from when gaming can take over live action. I don't think we'll have to shoot anymore.
Correct.
Because I think I can just go to a gamer and say, this is my cast, give me the characters. And they probably create it for me, because already most gaming, the characters are almost lifelike.
Yeah.
It's like...
Totally.
They could create a game where you and I are talking right now, and you wouldn't know that these are not real people. I mean, it's crazy, man.
And the settings are so real, man.
Absolutely.
Yes. So what are you saying could happen, no?
Yeah. So hopefully I'll be retired by then.
By then you hang up your boots.
Hopefully bought a house
and say...
Bought a small piece of farmland.
Yeah.
Which is the dream of every creative person. Right?
And say enough is enough. I'm out of it.
Because now the gamers have taken over filmmaking, right? It's crazy, man.
Now I can watch from a distance and sneer at you.
Or just talk about how things were. The good old days.
Good old days.
What these guys know.
Yeah. You've been old fart.
Absolutely.
Whining about the present.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But I never thought you'd... I didn't think too much. But you being a writer is very interesting. Writer and an editor.
Yeah.
So So are you a writer first, an editor later? Or are you an editor first who also writes? How would you describe yourself?
I'm a writer first who edits.
Okay. So do you also write your own content? Are you publishing your own books?
Yeah, so I write articles for, not books.
Okay.
So after that first book, nothing else has come out.
Right.
But I write articles, right? So I write on things that I'm passionate about. I write a column on beer for a company called Blefa, which manufactures kegs and supplies them across the world. So I write on beer. It's a monthly column. I write on old Hindi film music. I'm passionate about that.
Yeah. I've seen your articles on Facebook, man. Absolutely.
Right. Right. So I write on stuff like that. I used to write on parenting. The dad's take. You need men's voices in that space. It's just not there in India, at least. So I was trying to be one of them, and I was. So I wrote on that. I wrote on travel. I write on culture, music, dance, stuff like that. So things that matter to me, I continue to write. But the time that I give to writing, unfortunately, has reduced.
Obviously.
But that's okay.
Is it because you have to make a living?
I have to make a living, yes, and it also so happens because, like we said earlier, writing doesn't pay so much.
Correct.
But also, Ramacha, very hearteningly so, I don't think I set out with this expectation or the certainty. But as an editor, as a publishing consultant, as a writing coach who helps others write and fashion out their books, I've been some sort of a hit dog.
Right. So you're a writing coach. That's an interesting term. I've never heard this before. Writing coach. You consider yourself a writing coach.
Yeah. So that goes hand in hand with editing books. So it's all about developing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which goes back to your self-description of being a catalyst of self-expression.
Self-expression. Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Wow, that's interesting, man. You're a writing coach.
Right.
Wow. That's. And are there other people like you, or are you like?
No, there are quite a few people. I mean, it's not a big field. It's not crowded or not a very mature kind of thing. No, it's not. For India, it's still nascent. But there are still a fair number of people. doing stuff in their own pockets.
You said 2019 was when things took off, sort of, for you.
I at least moved to the next level and all, yeah.
But then 2020 was...
No. For me it was...
How?
For me it was
How?
Because that's the nature of my work, Damacha. So, I have not been in work, in fields.
Pandemic, has it not... So obviously the pandemic hasn't screwed you over.
No, it's not. It's actually pushed my business up.
Damn good.
Actually,
I'm so happy to hear
pushed
this.
my business up.
I'm so happy to hear this because most people, right, unfortunately, most
Things
of
have taken a dip.
humanity
Yeah.
have been screwed over.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was just telling one of my guests that I'm so fortunate. Once in my life, I was on the lucky end. Like I've not been badly affected.
Right.
Of course, I would have made more money if the pandemic.
But for the pandemic.
But I've not suffered.
The way most others have.
I've not struggled to pay rent.
Right.
I've not thought about how my next meal is going to.
Correct.
I know where it's going to come from. I haven't had to worry about the basic necessities of life. I've managed
pretty comfortably.
Right. So I feel very privileged.
Same here. I feel grateful
but in
for
your
that.
case, I'm so happy to hear that not only have you not managed, but you're saying it's
absolutely
done well. You've done well in this.
Absolutely, you've done well. It's gone up by a notch or two. Two reasons. One, I think internal. The other external. The other market oriented. The market oriented factor. The external factor is the fact that people had time on their hands. Simply put, more of them started writing books.
Amazing. That makes sense.
Simply put, more of them started writing books. So I'll tell you, Ramacha, many people, even those I knew, and now apparently even strangers because they're coming to me, have been thinking of writing a book for ages.
I think everyone wants a book.
Yeah, and correct.
I have at least 2-3 book ideas which I'll never write.
Yes.
Maybe I will.
Yeah, when you hang up your boots.
I think when my other priorities have, because as you
livelihood,
as you would know more than anybody else, a book takes time.
Yes, it takes months, time.
Maybe even years, depending on what you're writing.
Correct. I
want to write a book. I think this is pretty powerful. I want to write a book.
It's stimulating, no?
And the book is called How to Have a Good Marriage.
Oh, lovely.
But the byline is what's important from a guy who had a very bad one.
Very bad one. Correct.
And I think it's true.
It is absolutely true.
It's true. It's important.
You might be the best, I don't want to use the word teacher, whatever, but the best person, possibly.
I don't know about best, but I think...
No, coming from that space.
Definitely.
Of what doesn't work.
And I have spoken to a lot of young people about this, and maybe not enough. I'm thinking of making a few videos on this subject. You're a married man, right? I don't think you knew what to look for in a marriage partner.
Right.
But somehow, luckily for you, you met this woman, things worked out. I mean, I guess you guys felt like you had a good wife.
Yes.
The wife was continued. It's been a successful partnership, touch wood. Hopefully it remains that way till the end of your lives. Right?
Yes.
It doesn't always work out like that, man.
No, it doesn't.
You meet a person, the person finds you lovely, you find that person lovely, you have a great chemistry, and you get together. But it's a matter of time before you realize that,
things implode.
That it's not what you imagined.
What you thought it was.
Because none of us really thought about marriage, right? What to expect. I don't think any of our parents, sit us down and talk about, dude, this is the pitfalls of marriage.
Correct.
This is what you should expect. This is what you should look for in a life partner. No one lays it. And I'm surprised because all our elders, all our uncles,
earlier generations, uncles,
forget our parents, like maybe it's awkward for them. The older generation never sits down and talks to the younger one and says, dude, this is what you should ideally do, if you're thinking of getting married.
Correct.
All this is, any good news? How old are you? It's time you got settled. Time. If it's a guy, it's like, isn't it time you settle down? If it's a woman, the same question.
Same thing.
Oh my God, how long are you going to wait?
Yeah.
But no one ever sits you down and tells you
things
what
as
to
they
look
are.
for, how you should approach it, what you should expect.
Correct.
And most important,
what you should not do.
What you should not do. And how to tackle the bumps, the road bumps that are absolutely 100%.
Hundreds of road bumps.
Definite to come. Right? But no one talks about it. I don't get it. And yet these old fuckers, I think I'm 2 drinks down, once you are of a certain age, are constantly pushing you.
At you, man, they're at your heels.
Absolutely. And yet nobody wants to tell you that, dude, by the way, you're going to get fucked. Not just literally, but figuratively
in
also.
certain ways, yes.
Figuratively, you don't want to be.
Correct.
And I'm saying it applies to both men and women.
Yeah.
I think men more, because we have a constant desire to be unbridled. right?
To break free and to be just as we are.
Just as we are, because that's a natural Neanderthal man instinct,
Correct.
To just go out and do
conform.
Non-conform, right? But marriage is all about conform.
Also,
you have to conform to the
needs
and wants of the other person. How many people know that when they're getting married? They're getting married because their father got married, their grandfather got married, their great-grandfather got married at a certain age, to a certain person of a certain background, right? But how many people get into marriage today? I mean, thankfully, I think a lot more people are.
But not with the knowledge. I think that's your point.
I think people...
Not with the clarity and knowledge.
Right?
And
of what marriage entails.
Totally.
Right?
Yes.
So, I don't know how good my book would be, but if I had to write a book, I would write about my own experiences.
Right.
And perhaps even the experiences of others. Probably interview a few people. Because I'm sure not everybody's had a bad experience. I had a bad marriage. And I don't think it was purely the function of the other person.
Right.
I'm sure I contributed to the bad marriage in equal measure. I think less, but let's just assume it's equal measure, right? I didn't know any better.
Right.
I was an absolute dumb fuck.
Right.
I should not have been married to anybody at that point, especially to this person. Not that this person's fault, it's an incompatibility. But we were young and we were in love. Right?
Correct.
That's all
right.
our movies talk about, right?
That colors life.
That colors life. It's about love.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's such an amazing, beautiful thing. When you're 20s, man, I mean, that kind of love you can't experience in life.
Totally.
Because you're too smart. You're much the wiser.
Yeah.
You will never feel that surge of emotion ever in your life. And that just takes you sometimes. And it's a 50-50 chance.
Correct.
To the wrong way, and it affects you and the other person for life.
Correct.
I don't think a bad marriage or divorce are things
leaves anybody unaffected.
I think it affects you in a way that nothing else can. I think it affects you as bad as a war, a trauma.
Yes. You're scarred, yeah.
Scarred. I think, and it's not fair. It's, as I would say, experiencing a bad marriage, and I think the duration also matters, is, I would say, as traumatic as going through something like, seeing a family member being murdered or rape or any of those gruesome crimes, right?
One piece of your life is gone. It's crumbling, it's gone.
Absolutely.
Right? And a large piece of your life.
Absolutely.
Large piece.
I'm so happy to hear of people having good marriages. And cheers. Hopefully your marriage.
And Macha, no, honestly, cheers also for you to find happiness and a happy space again. Alright? And no, that's my wish, bro. Seriously.
Well, I don't know if I'm in a happy space or any such thing, but definitely I'm in a space where I'm clearer about who I am, and more importantly, what to expect from life, right? The clarity that comes from knowing a little bit more, the clarity that comes from experience, right? But happiness is, I think it's a hard to define thing, man.
I don't think so. I mean, it's hard to define, but you can feel it. You'll know when you feel it. So my point was, given what has happened and where you're coming from, it's happier. I said happier.
Absolutely. I think it's,
and I'm wishing that for you.
You know. The thing is, I feel horrible about this. I think most of us fall in this category, and I know better. We are so ungrateful.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when I feel really horrible about my life and the things I've experienced, I feel like a little shit. And then a part of me says, "You asshole, look at your life.
Yeah, and look around.
The opportunities you've had.
Totally.
Look at the privileges that you've had. Look at the pleasures you enjoy on a day-to-day basis. Things that most probably, without exaggeration, 90% of the planet doesn't have access to on a daily basis.
Not even reach.
Correct? Okay. Who the fuck are you
to complain and feel angry and grumpy?
I'm like, dude, and there are moments of gratitude. There are moments of gratitude where I am truly, genuinely grateful for who I am, where I am,
and what happened to you, and the kind of space
you
are
I'm experiencing.
Correct.
Experiencing on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Am I deserving
what
of
you have?
What I have. Am I deserving of it? Not necessarily, but it's there.
But you have, yes.
And that stops me from complaining.
Totally.
But I think happiness has to come from within.
Yeah.
And I think it's a skill, and I don't think I have it yet. Hopefully,
I think, Macha, see, happiness comes, or one big thing is about just letting your guard down. Honestly, think about it.
My guard is down. I think
No.
I think I'm just trying so hard to be artistic that, and joy comes in the way.
But then your guard is up. So if you're doing that, your guard is not down. But guard is down, I'm saying, absolutely being down to earth and humble, and you're really, really understanding that you're part of life, the privileges and luxuries that life has given you, how things have eased for you, right?
And just the opportunities, man. Like I said, I don't know how difficult your climb from the pit, financial pit that you were in up was. My climb from the financial pit, the deep dark hole that I dug myself, the debt that I had, piled upon myself because of stupid decisions and that lacked common sense or any kind of maturity.
Sanity.
That was mid 30s. It's stupid. You had no excuse. I had no excuse to do the things, make the decisions that I'd made at that time. And while I'm proud that I got out of it, a lot of it was because I had such amazing opportunities. And some of that is beyond logic. I don't even know what I did to deserve those opportunities.
Correct.
I don't even know where those opportunities came from
and why.
I'd like to believe it's from above. Not that I'm deeply religious. I'd like to believe it was just, the universe's way of saying, okay, asshole, you're not as bad.
Deserve this.
You're not as bad as I could have been, as we could have been. So you know what? I'm gonna throw.
Take it.
We're gonna throw a few crumbs to you. Let's see what you can do with it. But the fact that still I had those opportunities come my way, it was quite a humbling experience.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, coming back to the main point, even I have a book or two in
Nice, correct, and practically everybody in the world has that book in them.
Correct. Yeah.
And I'm saying that the pandemic kind of unleashed that force within them, gave them the time and mind space, and said, look, while my business has gone down, my career is okay or not okay, I might have lost a job or two, it doesn't matter, because I at least can do something. Is, how one section of the population is thinking, alright? There are many others who can't even fend for themselves, who are really down in the dumps.
Absolutely.
And I'm not talking about them.
Of course.
I'm only saying there is also this section of
There's
people.
a huge segment of the middle class,
The upper middle class, the people who have kind of, put their finances in place.
Correct.
There's a little bit of cushion. So they are the ones who've written books, and I think that those are the kind of people who are coming to me.
Right.
And that's given me a boost in my business, in the editing and writing, coaching and guidance, that kind of business. And that's good. The other thing is, Macha, as part of the same self-expression, I've also become a person branding coach a couple of years ago, right?
I've seen some of your posts on Facebook talking about the same.
Right. So I conduct workshops and webinars, and I also coach people one-on-one, all right? So how do you set yourself up as a brand? How do you stand apart? And how do you find what you are about first of all, before telling the world what you are?
Absolutely. Like, how do you tell the world what you don't know?
Yeah, so you need to articulate it for yourself.
Right.
This is what I am, and I need to be aligned to who I am as a person.
Right.
It's not about putting on a mask.
Right.
And this is what I'm best suited to do, and this is the kind of people I want to serve.
Right.
So, questions like that are what I engage with them, and then help them understand their identity, saying this is what you are, and then there is a process, there's a method, there are whatever.
You're not talking about advertising and design.
No. I'm talking about people like you. So Sendil or Ganesh. Sendil comes to me and says, Macha, I'm a filmmaker and this and that, I have these aspirations, whatever. But I've been kind of confused and I'm not sure. And there are 1,000 other people doing the same thing.
Right, of course.
So, who am I? What do I do? What do I offer? To who do I offer that most than anything else? Because there are all kinds of people. Who's my target audience? And why should they come to me?
Correct. That's the most important thing.
Why should they not go to the other 999?
I might think I'm a very good filmmaker, but then why should... There are many people who feel the same way.
Yeah. So those existential questions, and for me, the way I look at it, it's not person and profession alag. It's not never separate, never separate. We're both two, it's just whatever, two sides of the face. So I delve into those questions, engage with them on these, we come to a conclusion, we evolve it, and then they're free to go. But then they soar.
Sorry to interrupt, isn't it a crowded space? Because I know a lot of people, more than crowded, isn't it a sort of abused space? Because I think social media has given birth to like 100 personal branding guys.
Totally, boss.
I'm sure there are at least 8 in my own timeline. And I don't even have a big timeline.
Right? Yes. And you know what, Macha, the funny thing is, or irritating thing is, there are personal branding people for LinkedIn, personal branding people for Instagram. Yeah, exactly. How do you build your personal brand? Macha.
Right.
God, don't get me started.
Is that really populated space? So how do you differentiate yourself and operate within that?
So it is quite crowded, and at least there are lots of people claiming to do this and do that, right?
Yeah.
But I've realized one thing from observation, from talking to people, that the depth and the holisticness, the overall nature in which I look at it, not many people do that. All right. So that's comfort for me.
Okay.
And I'm happy that way. Okay. So I've evolved my own method, my philosophy, my way of looking at it, and the way I gear the person up, my client.
Okay.
So that not many people do that. That's one. The other thing is the kind of depth to which I go. All right. That's two. Thirdly, I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a hurry. It's also my way of doing business. I'm not here to mint money overnight.
Right.
I've said, okay, as long as this earns me well, gives me satisfaction and gives me impact, I'm happy doing it at a slightly different model. My model is offline plus online. My webinars are all online, but my coaching, when I work deep with somebody, it's offline. All right. So I don't run these mass, large-scale, factory kind of things when instantly I will make you a brand. I can't promise that.
Don't you want to be like Tony Robbins at some point, like have an auditorium full of people?
Oh yeah. Of course, I do.
2,000 people.
I do. When I want to speak, I want to speak to
this thing.
I don't want that, but I want to speak. Yes, but I want 2,000 people, and that's okay. I've given myself time. I've given the universe time.
Right.
I think it will happen.
Right.
All right.
But is that an ambition? So it's obviously an ambition.
It is one ambition, but it's not an overriding
it's
ambition.
Not the thing, but
not
it's
the
one of the
overriding.
things.
No, not the thing, right? But for me, every step of the way, everything that I do, every client, every book, every article is important and fulfilling.
Okay.
When I have that mindset, no, Acha, I'm happy with the growth, and I'm always pushing for more. I'm not any less driven than you or the guy next door.
Right.
I'm driven. I want more results. I want growth, but I will do it this way because impact, satisfaction are also important.
Right.
Every step is important.
Right. Dude, I'll tell you what, 100% you and I can continue for at least one more hour, but I know you have a time limit. So maybe you'll have a part 2 of this. But for now, for your sake, I'm going to end this conversation because you have a curfew and other commitments. Thank you.
But if you want to continue a couple of questions, you can. Honestly, you can, and then we can close or whatever. You can go on.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because it's interminable.
There's no set of questions that I have to ask you.
Totally.
Just a conversation, and I just looked at I sneak peeked at my time, and it's already way past what I told you. I did you off.
Yeah, but that's good. That's been a great conversation.
I mean, I've enjoyed it.
Thanks.
And I hope
same here.
If anybody's watching or listening, I hope they enjoyed it.
It's a question of how many. It's not anybody.
So thank you so much for coming.
Let's clink.
Great conversation.
Same here.
First of hopefully multiple conversations.
Definitely. And honestly, and I'm not saying this for the podcast or whatever, let us do part 2, part 3 if you think.
I'd be most
I'm happy.
And I say this to, not on camera, but I say this to a lot of whoever has been kind enough to, come to my place and do this so far. This is a non-agenda conversation.
Totally, free-flowing.
And I loved it. I talk to people like you and other people that I find interesting. Because honestly, everybody is interesting.
Yeah.
But not everybody is able to express. I'm trying to find people who are able to express that, because that's how you bring it alive. And you've been one of the most articulate guys so far.
Super.
So thank you so much. Thank you so much
bro.
for coming. Thank you for your time. Hopefully it was.
And I don't know, for the viewers more than anybody else, I think I want to go back to our earliest days together. Honestly, I see myself as a Madras boy even now, and I always will. You can take people out of Madras, but you can't take Madras out of them, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of thing. But I think I have very, very fond memories of where we both started off from, right? Yeah. That might not have been your first job, it was my first job, but I don't mean the first job.
It was my
second or something,
job.
Right? I know. You were working some other...
No, third job.
Third job,
but like in 1 year.
Okay. You were already a frog, a fucker.
I'm already a frog.
Moving from this well to the other, jumping.
Yeah, I did a third job in a year. I just started doing.
So, but my point is not about the number of jobs. It's about, I'm saying, the earliest time of our career.
Right,
when we were finding our feet.
Correct.
Becoming, when we were both manning up.
Yeah.
We were manning up. So, I think I want to go back to that, and I think this podcast, this conversation, I think is also a toast. It's one, whatever, to that time.
Absolutely.
From where we came from where we became friends, met, and what we've become over the years. I want to bring it out there in the open, and I
think you've become, and I'm still becoming.
I'm also becoming.
I think you've become a little bit more, and I'm becoming a little bit more. I think maybe in that sense, perhaps I'm a little behind you. Hopefully, I'll get there. Maybe the next conversation I will also become.
So it's a toast to that time and those beginnings also.
Yes. It's a toast to the fact that I'm meeting you after 2 decades.
Yeah.
And it's
actually
good to see the evolution of us, not just as professionals or working people, but as individuals.
Correct.
That we're able to speak with some mirth, so to speak.
Yeah. Some mirth and some depth.
Yeah, and that's why I love about this city, man. I don't know. It's not particular only to Bangalore.
Yeah.
I think this city has a vibe that just enables people like you and me more than anybody else.
Correct.
Who just want to do their own thing and driven, but not so driven that money becomes the focal point of all our endeavors.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So it's a beautiful city, and I'm glad we're both here.
Yeah. Same here, man. Absolutely. Yes, thanks,
to our next meeting.
Yo, cheers.
Last clink. Thank you. Thank you, Bhavesh.
Thanks, Bhavesh.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bangalore.